She stood there in a sundress instead of a power suit, and when I accidentally looked too long, her words cut sharp. "Eyes are up here." I whispered, "Yes, ma'am," and watched my career end on a beach at sunset. I came to Crescent Beach that evening to disappear. That's what I'd been doing at Montgomery & Chen Solutions for 18 months anyway. Disappearing into spreadsheets, into the hum of fluorescent lights, into the kind of silence that made me wonder if anyone would notice if I stopped showing up. The sand was warm beneath my feet. Gulls screamed overhead. I'd left my shoes by the driftwood and walked until the office felt like a different planet. That's when I saw her, Victoria Chen, my boss, the boss, CEO, the woman whose emails arrived at 11 p.m. like corporate thunderbolts. She stood 50 feet away, barefoot, sundress catching the wind, staring at the horizon like it owed her an answer. I froze. She looked human, smaller without the heels, softer without the boardroom lighting. Her hair wasn't in its usual severe bun, but loose, dark waves touching her shoulders. I should have turned around. I didn't. She turned, and our eyes met. For 3 seconds, neither of us moved. Then my gaze dropped, not intentionally, just nervously, and landed somewhere it absolutely shouldn't have. "Eyes are up here." Her voice cracked like a whip, sharp, cold, the CEO voice. My head snapped up, face burning. I wasn't... "You were. Miss Chen, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to..." "Didn't mean to stare?" Her arms crossed. The sunset blazed behind her, turning her silhouette into something untouchable. My throat closed. Every word felt like quicksand. "No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." The silence that followed was deafening. She didn't yell, didn't fire me on the spot. She just stood there, jaw tight, eyes glistening with something that wasn't anger, something raw, hurt. I'd made her feel seen in the worst possible way, and somehow that felt worse than losing my job. The wind pushed her hair across her face. She didn't brush it away. I should go. I stepped back, sand shifting beneath my feet. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." "Yes, you should." Her voice was ice, but her hands trembled slightly at her sides. I turned to leave, heart hammering against my ribs like a prisoner. "Wait." I froze. Victoria's eyes were fixed on the ocean, not me. "Do you come here often?" The question was so unexpected, so normal, it threw me completely off balance. Yeah, after work sometimes, to think." I swallowed. "You?" "No one from the office knows about this place." She said it like a confession, like I'd stumbled onto something sacred. "I won't tell anyone I saw you here, Miss Chen. I promise." "Victoria." The word came out quieter. "Here, I'm just... Victoria." Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dark clouds were swallowing the sunset. She glanced at the sky, then at me, properly at me, for the first time. "Storm's coming." The rain hit fast and brutal. One moment we were standing in awkward silence, the next we were running toward the only shelter in sight, a weathered lifeguard station 50 yards up the beach. We crashed inside just as the sky opened up completely. Water pounded the roof like drums. I pressed against one wall, she took the other, both of us soaking wet, breathing hard. "Of all the beaches," she muttered, wringing out her hair. "I can leave." "In that?" She gestured at the wall of rain outside. "You'll drown before you reach the parking lot." So we stood there, trapped, the space between us crackling with everything unsaid. I studied the wooden floor. She studied the storm. "I really wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I was just surprised to see you as, a person." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "As opposed to what? A robot and heels?" "As opposed to untouchable." Her eyes found mine. Something shifted. "Untouchable." She repeated the word like she was tasting poison.
That's what my ex-husband called me, right before he left. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. Said I loved the company more than him. Maybe he was right. I'd built that empire from nothing, Damien, fought for every inch, and somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be human? Soft. Her voice cracked. I come here because it's the only place I don't have to be Victoria Chen, CEO. I can just breathe. I sat down across from her, our wet shoes nearly touching in the small space. I know what you mean, I said quietly. I've been invisible so long at work, I started feeling invisible everywhere else too, like I'm just taking up space. Her eyes softened. I see you, Damien. Every report you file, every detail. You're not invisible. My chest tightened. Then why does it feel like I am? Because you're hiding, she said simply. I recognize it because I do too. The rain softened to a steady rhythm. The tension between us shifted into something warmer. What did you want to be before Montgomery and Chen? A smile ghosted across her lips. A painter. Ridiculous, right? Why is that ridiculous? Because paint doesn't pay mortgages, doesn't prove to your immigrant parents that their sacrifice meant something. She looked at me. What about you? A writer. Same story, different pressure. We're both frauds then, she laughed. A real one this time, light, unguarded. The most successful frauds I know. She shook her head, grinning. God, when did we become so tragic? Probably around the same time we stopped being people and became resumes. The space between us felt smaller now, safe. Her phone buzzed, then again and again. The smile died on her face as she read the screen. I have to go. Have you ever sacrificed a dream for security? Tell us in the comments. Do you regret it? Before we go any further, take a second to join this family by hitting the subscribe button. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read each one of them. I've got another powerful story coming tomorrow, and you won't want to miss it. Now, let's continue. She stood up abruptly, brushing sand off her dress. The warmth vanished from her face like someone had flipped a switch. This was, she wouldn't look at me, inappropriate. Victoria. Miss Chen. The correction was brutal. At the office, it's Miss Chen. I stood too, confusion turning to hurt. What just happened? Reality happened. Her voice was cold again, distant. You're my employee. I'm your boss. This doesn't exist. But it does. What we just shared was a mistake. She stepped toward the door, rain still falling but lighter now. I'll see you Monday, Damien. Let's pretend this never happened. I don't want to pretend. She finally looked at me, and I saw it, fear, raw and real. I have to, her voice broke. I can't lose control again. I can't be weak. Being human isn't weak. In my world, it is. She walked into the rain and didn't look back. I stood there, soaked and shattered, watching her disappear. Monday morning, I sat in my car outside the office for 20 minutes, resignation letter folded in my jacket. I couldn't do this, couldn't walk those halls pretending I hadn't seen her cry, hadn't heard her laugh, hadn't felt something real in the first time in years. I was reaching for the door handle when my phone buzzed. My office, now/VC. My heart stopped. This was it, the firing I'd earned on that beach, professional consequences for unprofessional feelings. I rode the elevator up, each floor a countdown to disaster. Her assistant waved me through without a word. Victoria sat behind her massive desk, back to me, staring out at the city. She didn't turn when I entered. Close the door. I did. Silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Then she turned, and I saw she was holding 2 coffees. Cream, no sugar, the way you mentioned on the beach. She remembered. She set the coffee on the edge of her desk, closer to me than necessary. I've spent all weekend trying to convince myself you were a mistake, she said, voice barely above a whisper. that what I felt was just loneliness, weakness, and I've been strong my whole life, Damien. It's exhausting. Her eyes met mine, vulnerable and terrified. I don't know how to do this, how to be a boss and a person who feels things. I stepped forward, taking the coffee, our fingers brushed. Maybe we figure it out together? I offered, slowly, carefully. I could lose everything. Or gain something you didn't know you were missing. She smiled, small, fragile, real. I'm terrified. Me too. Good, then we're even. Dinner? Somewhere no one from the office goes? I grinned, warmth flooding my chest. Yes, man. Damien. Yeah? Call me Victoria. Just
Victoria. Outside her window, the city glittered with possibility, and for the first time in 18 months, I wasn't invisible. I was seen. Would you risk everything for a chance at real connection? Drop a comment and let us know. Is love worth the risk? If stories like this stay with you long after they end, then this channel was made for you. Subscribe and stay with us. And before you go, tell me, do you believe love always finds its way back?